everyone, welcome to Q&A. Today, Harmanpreet writes, I am a foreign student looking for work, but I can't find a job. What do I do? Okay, excellent question, Harmanpreet. This is, once again, a very common situation for a lot of international students. A lot of people are having this challenge all around the world. And the issue in particular is that you don't have a reference from an employer in your host country, and you're trying to find work in your host country. So let's pretend you're from China and you're going to school in France, and you're trying to get a job in France, but the problem is when the French employers look at your resume, everything on there is organizations or companies in China. There's no French companies on there that can give you a reference or that they could contact and be able to verify your content on your resume. So this is the big problem that a lot of international students are up against. Now, it's very similar to the question, how do I get a job with no experience? So a great tip that can really help break the deadlock if you're going through standard channels to apply for a job and it's just not going anywhere, a great tip is volunteering. And I mean volunteering in the sense that it directly leads to a job. When I say volunteering, a lot of people don't like that because they assume that, that's the end result. That's where you end up. And of course, that doesn't make sense. They say, I don't want to work for free. The whole point of this is to make money. And yes, that's totally true. This is not a destination. This is just a means to get a paying position. So it's going to lead to a job. I think 99% of people would agree that if you spent 4 to 6 weeks volunteering at a company where you don't get paid, it's an unpaid volunteer position, but it leads to a good job after that period of time, I think most people would agree it makes sense. Okay, so that's what I'm advocating for. Now, the great thing about volunteer positions is, for a start, the competition for them is greatly reduced. So if you are applying for a paid position, sometimes there can be 100 applicants for a paid position. But if you're applying for a volunteer position, there might be 1 or 2 people competing for that, if that. And I don't have the exact numbers, I don't have the ratio, but I know it's tremendously less competitive. So this is great. Not a lot of people are doing it in relation to applying for a job. So that's good news for you. This allows you to get in there and get this advantage. Now, first of all, volunteering demonstrates your value and your abilities to companies in your host country. Okay, that's the reason why you want to do this. The other thing is it signals your commitment. As we all know, most recruiters and hiring managers want to hire candidates who are passionate and committed to their particular company or organization, right? But as we all know, most people are not particularly committed to that particular organization. They're committed to any they're receptive to any organization that will give them a job that pays decent. They're not particularly loyal to that one organization. But when you volunteer, you're saying, look, I want to work for you even if you don't pay me. Okay? So this is a very powerful statement. The fact that you are asking for a volunteer position signals your commitment and demonstrates your commitment to that organization. So this results in, if that company is looking for a paid position, they're hiring a candidate for a paid position, you will jump to the top of the list. Your resume will jump to the top of the pile because not only are you demonstrating your commitment to that organization, you are a known quantity, right? Now think about this for a second. If you were a hiring manager, would you rather hire someone that you've never met in person and you've never worked with before, so you don't know them, or someone that has been working in your organization for several weeks. You know them. They seem to be doing well. You know that they're not crazy. They're not lazy. They're not dishonest. They're not incompetent. They're not unreliable. You know exactly what you're getting. Which one would you hire? Right? So assuming you meet all the qualifications, you have a tremendous advantage over any other applicant for a paid position at that organization. Okay, that's some of the value here. Now, let's say you volunteer at a company. Okay, let's call it Company X. Okay, so you're volunteering at Company X. The default path here is that Company X will be hiring, and then you can work in a paid position in Company X, right? That's the default thing. Let's say that doesn't happen. Let's say that you volunteer at Company X, but Company X is not hiring. Now, does volunteering still make sense? Yes, it does. It is still tremendously powerful because you're basically getting experience in your industry. Okay, we already talked about that. But while you're there, you can walk. When you're done your volunteer experience, you can walk out of there with a reference from your boss, with references from your coworkers, so more than one reference, with a letter of recommendation from your boss. Okay, very powerful stuff here. And then while you're there, while you're inside Company X, a company in the industry in which you want to work, okay, it's a tremendous networking opportunity. You have access to the individuals in that company, and some of them are higher up if they know you. And if you're on LinkedIn, and you can really take advantage of this and solidify those relationships. And the main reason this is valuable is because, as I mentioned before in previous videos, this allows you to tap the hidden job market. 80% of the jobs out there are not posted publicly. They're in this thing called the hidden job market. And the way you tap that is through networking. And if you know people in your city, in your industry that are higher up, they're influential, and they know what's going on, that can be an incredibly useful tool. Okay? Now, I spent the whole time so far sort of talking about the reasoning and doing a bit of a pitch for volunteering. Let's talk about what you can actually do. How do you do this? Well, it might seem obvious, but decide where you want to work. Okay? Now, I know that sounds pretty obvious, but here's what you do specifically, and I really should do a video on this in the near future. This works really well. Go to Google Maps, okay? Google Maps, and type in the name of your city or your area. So what you end up looking at is, a map of your city, okay? Then at the top of the screen, in the search box, type the name of the industry or the occupation that you want to do, okay? When you do that, usually what happens is you'll see on the map of your city all these companies. They all pop up. They all sort of pop up as little dots. And for each of those companies, you can see their name, their contact information, their website, and because it's on a map, you can see geographically where they're located in relation to you, if they're very close by, right? So these are companies now, or organizations, that you now need to contact, okay? Now, if you're on LinkedIn, you have a special advantage here. It goes an extra step further because LinkedIn allows you to then see inside of those companies down to the individuals. It'll tell you, if you go to LinkedIn and you enter the name of that company, it can tell you the individuals, the people in that company, and what their title is, what their role is, and you could even see their background and stuff like that. So an extra level of insight. So you now potentially are walking away with knowing the name of the individual at what company that you should talk to. Okay, so the message you want to convey to these companies or these organizations is basically that you're a student, you're an international student at this school here in town, and you've got some great experience in this industry back in your home country, and some qualifications there, and you're looking for experience here in the host country, and you're looking specifically for volunteer positions. You're not looking for a paid, you're not looking for a job, but you're looking to volunteer so that you can get some experience, you can see how it's done in this country and that kind of thing. And if they have any volunteer opportunities, that would be great. Even if if it's just temporary help, that's fine. Even if you have to start at the bottom, if necessary, that's fine too. If they have any such opportunities, give me a call. And no pressure, but I would love to work here if you have that. Thank you for your time. Something like that. Okay, so that's basically the message you want to convey. How do you do this? Well, there's 3 ways. There's many ways, but there's 3 main ways to do this. You could do it in person, you could do it by phone, or you could do it by email. And in person is by far the best way of doing it. If you, present yourself professionally, you look professional, you dress up and, make a good first impression. You're polite, you're professional, you're, pleasant, and then you walk in through the front door of the company and go talk to the receptionist and say, hi, I'm wondering if this particular person is here, or if I could talk to somebody that's in charge of this. Sometimes they're available. Usually they're not available on a whim. So they say, no, sorry. You say, okay, that's cool. If I can leave my resume and my business card, will you see that they get it? Thank you very much. And that's it. And then you follow up later. And you call and you say, I'm just following up on the resume and stuff I dropped off for you at the front desk. And then you convey the message that, I just said a moment ago. That's very powerful. This is like where they actually meet you and they see your commitment and they see how professional you are. And, if they do have volunteer opportunities, if you're talking to the right person, it really goes far. That's the best way to do it. Not the most efficient. That is very time consuming. However, if there's one company you really want to work at, it's definitely worth doing this. You can do it by phone. That's another way. A little bit more efficient. They get to have a 2-way conversation with you on the phone, so they get to hear you at least, and that's good. Not quite as effective as doing it in person, but there are advantages. And finally, you could do it by email. Once again, the easiest and most efficient way, but the least effective. They don't see you, they don't hear you, but the message is still conveyed. So that's how you can do this. There's a lot more to this, a lot more details, but that's a basic overview. One shortcut, if you're wondering what organizations I should contact, who are they? One thing that may help is if you are in school and your school has a work placement program. Okay, obviously you can do this through your school's work placement program, but if you're not in it, if you can find out what companies are participating in the work placement program, those would be good candidates to contact because presumably they're in your industry and they are receptive to volunteering. They're already doing volunteering. This is normal for them. They understand it, they expect it, so that might be a good candidate to contact to see if you can do this. Anyway, I hope that helps. This can be a great shortcut to break the deadlock if your job search is not really going anywhere and it's because of your lack of experience in a host country. As I say, I hope that helps. I like getting intelligent questions like this. You can contact me on Facebook, YouTube, email, and don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell, and share this video if it helped you. And I will see you guys on the next one. Take care.